Hey guys, it's Craig Hetlinger here, and I reached out to Wheelhouse Media to put something together for me to highlight some of the classes here at the Lighthouse over the last few months. I hope you enjoy them. You guys, this is probably my favorite day of the week, as I get to bring you guys some information, stuff that I kind of spend some hours on through the week to try to bring you something that's worth listening to, and sometimes there's a little bit of information that we can absorb from it as well. Sometimes you guys got your hard hats on today. We're gonna go to work. All right. I always wonder after Friday comes. I always wonder what am I gonna do. What am I gonna do next week, man? I put it all on paper last week, so I always feel like, man, what am I going to do this week? I don't have any idea what I'm going to do, but somehow God always provides, right? Like He always finds a way to put something in my mind that I can run with, and information always comes to those who seek it, right? Always. And if we sit here and we sit in this self-defeating, well, what am I going to do next week? You know what? And that applies in every area of our life, right? Like, well, I can't do that or this, and it's going out and putting some effort in that we start to see a little bit of fruits of our labor, and then things start to get, man, I can't believe that I ever thought that I couldn't do this, man, right? I can't stress enough the importance of these 575 pages. Like, I thought initially, whenever I came into this process, that because we as addicts and alcoholics, we're always out when we're in our active addiction. We're always out. We only do things for people when it benefits us, right? That's the only time I ever got outside myself. Yeah, I'll do that if I know there's some money on the other side or some dope on the other side. That's when I'm willing to do something for somebody. So when I looked at this, when I thought about this book, like I thought it was just a company out trying to make money, that, they produced all these books, so they were making money off of it. I was contributing to their money making by buying one, right? I always thought there was ulterior motives, because I always, for 16 years, had ulterior motives, right? I had motives that weren't pure in why I did things for other people. So I thought it must be true that holds true of the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. I just thought it was a book, but I was so wrong, man. I actually got into this book and started absorbing some of this information, and I realized that it's a design for living, right? It taught me how to live. It taught me how to react to things. It taught me how to be courteous and responsible and care about other people and doing the next right thing. That's what this book talks about. There's 575 pages of that stuff that we need to get into, and we need to read every page of it more than once. It's funny when I talk about this book, like, how many of you guys, I see you guys walk in this process. We don't have very much when we come in, right? We got a bag of clothes, sometimes with some toiletries, and some of us, I remember came in in shackles, didn't have anything, right? Well, through the years in my madness, man, I've lost my favorite clothes, I've lost shoes, I've lost jewelry, watches. I mean, I've lost all kinds of stuff. Hell, I even lost a decade one time, I've damn near lost my son, right? But somehow, right? Somehow I've managed to hang on to the very first big book that was ever given to me. Somehow. I don't have anything that I've had for more than a year. Nothing. But I've had this for 6 years. It was given to me at the Healing Place in Richmond, Virginia, by a guy that watched me come in through the door. He said, "Here, I want you to have this." And he even spelled my name wrong. Creag. I didn't put that on there. So, but that tells me something, right? What do you think that tells me?
He cared about you.
That works. You value it. It's important.
Right. It tells me that's whether subliminally, whether subconsciously, whatever it was, no matter how bad I was at the time, something inside me recognized the importance of this book, right? this is kind of this is a new thing for me, right? I certainly haven't practiced this for 36 years. In fact, quite the opposite. That was the cat's meow, right? The Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. That was me, and I truly believe that. Like, I felt like that I was the beginning and the end of my own future. Like, that I dictated everything that was going to occur. I realize today that this isn't necessarily thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less, right? Can you explain that to me? Yeah.
It's not beating yourself down, but it's putting other things before.
Absolutely. In its simplest sense, it's considering other people ahead of oneself, right? Simple. Putting other people's needs, wants, and desires in front of my own. Altruism. That's what that is. It's not eating the last piece of pizza, right? Even though you got a little hunger in you, right? I'm gonna let him have it. Or I'm gonna take it to that guy out that's sitting out there starving. I'm gonna take it out to him. I've done that in this process before. Because it's gone from, it's not about me anymore. It is no longer about me. It was so much about me that 2 years ago you couldn't have pulled me from a six-figure income to come in here and do what I do now. But I see the rewards of the therapeutic value of me coming in here and doing this. It far exceeds any paycheck that I could ever receive. Because truthfully, even if I did have that six-figure income right now, if I don't have this, I don't have that six-figure income, right? Everybody understand that? If I don't have this and I don't have that relationship, I don't have anything. Absolutely nothing. And the sooner that you guys understand that, the sooner that you understand that your life, the quality of your life is directly related to the emphasis you place on your relationship with God, the sooner you understand that, the sooner you'll be in a place where you can't be touched. I promise, by that disease. I promise you. But the moment that let's say we get there, right? Say we get in that place where we understand that the quality of my life is directly proportional to the emphasis I place on my relationship with God. And then we set God back on the shelf. What do you think's going to happen?
Feel like you're worse.
Absolutely. Every single time. The way that I found my connection with God started with music. That's how it started for me. People find different ways to get their connection with God, and mine happened to be through music. I feel this way every single day. Every day I feel amazing because I know that God always provides. He has never let me down. In the time that I've been seeking His will, I promise you I haven't had a bad day. I promise. Sure, there's been some hectic ones. There's been some times that I question what's really transpiring. But I've never had a bad day. Not in the past year. I've not had a bad day. Because I understand that God is going to show up. At some point, God's going to show up and He's got me. I promise you. And once you guys get to a point that you understand that whatever situation you're in, whatever time of day it is, wherever you're at, that God's got you, that is a part of having the serenity and peace of mind that is absolutely invaluable. It is absolutely invaluable. I tell you guys all the time, man, I wish there was a monetary value on serenity and peace of mind like there is Air Max shoes and a Gucci purse. It'd be the hottest thing on the shelves. You wouldn't be able to keep it on there. Because people don't understand how valuable it is just being okay with being okay. You know, I don't know what commercial it is I saw on TV the other day. It says, just okay is not okay. I think it may be an Allstate commercial or something. But I beg to differ, man. I beg to differ. Like I don't make a lot of money doing what I do, but it pays invaluable dividends in my life. And I recognize that there is no monetary value that can ever equate to what this program and my job provides me. It's impossible. It's impossible to pay me the same amount. Can't do it. This has been the most rewarding time that I've ever had in my life. I was sitting at tryouts one day and somebody asked me, will you take a team? We don't have enough coaches. And you know, us as addicts and alcoholics, man, we're egomaniacs with inferiority complexes, right? Like we think so much of ourselves and so little at the same time, right? We think we can do everything, but then when it comes down to it, we're like, eh. So I'm questioning myself, right? So when I'm questioning myself about this, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it. I didn't know how I was going to be perceived, right? But I didn't allow that fear of my perception to override my ability to teach these kids something. And it's been the absolute most. I'm not capable of articulating the words to tell you exactly how rewarding this has been. It's essentially the same thing that I'm doing here on a younger scale. I heard a guy say one time that he's got more blessings than he's got pockets to put them in. And I completely understand what he means today. I get it. Today I can look at my son I can look at my son and he can give me a smile rather than scrutiny, right? How many of you guys had children that would always question what was going on at the time they looked at you, right? I don't worry about that today. And the best part about it is neither does he. You don't worry about it right now. It might still linger a little bit in his mind based on before, but the cool thing is that if I continue to work and I continue to do the things that I'm supposed to be doing and continue to do something for somebody else and showing him that I'm going to continue to recover and continue to do the right thing, that little bit of doubt continues to shrink every single day. You guys have your kids' futures in the palm of your hands. Whether you have them or not, whether you're part of their lives or not, you still have their futures in the palm of your hands, because there's going to be an opportunity moving forward. There's going to be an opportunity the more you stay sober that if you do not have your kids now, they will re-enter your life more than likely. Whether it's because of a CPS case, whether it's because of baby mama stuff, whatever the case may be, they will be coming back in some form or fashion for the overwhelming majority of us. I can't say all. So we have a duty at this point to make sure that we are prepared when that time comes, right? Yay? Nay? We don't have any kids in here? Let's go to 529 in the big book. 529. It says, so much had happened in my life. I lost almost everything I had worked to acquire. You guys feel that? Mm-hmm. My family had suffered public shame and humiliation. I had been the object of scorn, shame, and disgrace, yet much more had also happened. Every loss had been replaced with rewards. I had seen the promises of the big book come true in a magnitude I could never have imagined. I had gotten sober. I had regained my family, and we were once again close and loving. I had learned how to use the 12 steps and to live the wonderful program that was founded so many years ago by two drunks. It took several years, but I learned to be grateful for my alcoholism and the program of recovery it forced me into, for all the things that had happened to me and for me, for a life that transcends and far exceeds anything I had previously known. I could not have that today if I had not experienced all the yesterdays. Guys, you guys hear me say it all the time, that that my one-time greatest liability, all that stuff, all that nonsense I did, is now my greatest asset. That's what they're describing. You know, Christmas time, my stepmother told me, "Well, Craig, we don't have to give you gift cards this year." Huh? Don't act like your family ain't giving you gift cards before. I ain't stupid. I've never grown 1 ounce in being comfortable. Never have. It always took uncomfortable positions for me to grow spiritually, for me to grow emotionally, for me to grow in any way, any facet of my life. It took me being uncomfortable. You know, I've never grown 1 bit sitting in my recliner watching the Mountaineers. That was maybe my stomach, but from the popcorn and Cheez-Its and things. But never have I grown emotionally, spiritually, or anything of that nature while I'm comfortable. So I'm gonna, before we get into the meat of this thing, I'm gonna hit you guys with kind of some general stuff. Some of it we've talked about. Some of you have heard it before, but I just feel like it's important that we go over it from time to time. And that okay with everybody?
Yes.
So somebody in this room is getting ready to lie to me. Okay, somebody's gonna lie to me right now. And you don't even know it. It's not a trick question. How many guys in this room, I want you to be honest, how many guys in this room plan on finishing this 8-month program?
I'm finishing.
8 months. How many plan on finishing it? So there's 3 or 4 that are being honest, saying they're not going to finish it. Okay. You know, one of you guys that raised your hands is lying to me. Okay? You don't know that you're lying to me. But what's going to happen is you're going to get over to 4th Street. You're going to get your phone back. You're going to get a job, and you're going to start making a little bit of money, have some money in your pocket, right? You're going to get a girlfriend, right? And at some point, you're going to show up again, right? Seth Brown from Recovery Point says all the time, when the body heals, the liar returns, right? What's that mean? And has anybody experienced that? What's it mean? Oh, my man probably does, right? Like we're in a real good position, right? Mm-hmm. Spiritually, emotionally, and then I show back up, right? We get over here, and we're unable to tame our self-will, right? We are unable at certain times to lasso our self-will when it wants to run wild, right? And we act on these things because we are unable to sit still. That's why you hear so many times in this process that if you just sit still, right? If you're capable of just sitting still and doing what's right in front of you, rather than inserting your will back into this stuff, then things are going to happen for you. The difference between the guy that stays and recovers and the guy that leaves and gets high is their ability to tame that self-will, their ability to sit still. It is not the Lifehouse that keeps me sober. I promise you it's not. It is not that certificate I get at the end of the 60-day farm stay or the end of the 8-month farm stay. That is not what keeps me sober. What keeps me sober is my ability to keep myself in check at all times. Anybody disagree with that? Has anybody experienced that and now sees that that's what it was that took them back out? We can sit here and say, we sit here and we tell ourselves, I don't need that certificate. I don't need the Lifehouse. It's time for me to get back. I want this. I want this, right? Yep. That's what we do. And we do a hell of a job at it, of convincing ourselves that we don't need this stuff. And then we get back out there. We spend a couple weeks out there, and I can't tell you how many times I've heard guys say, man, I just wish I would have finished the Lifehouse. And at that time, some of them are still sober, right? Because what happens is the moment that you say, I don't need this anymore, and you take one step out that front door, you have whether the guys in this program have disconnected you or not, you have effectively disconnected yourself from your recovery family. Because something sets in here that tells us that we are now separate, right? We are no longer one. If I walk out this door, me and those guys are no longer together, right? So I'm disconnecting myself, right? And we feel like, damn. And sometimes we turn on those guys and say, well, they turned their back on me, right? No, they didn't. You did. You're the one that walked out this process, right? I'm not pointing at you. I'm just saying in general. But I know that I'm not telling you something I read in a book. I'm telling you something I've experienced, right? I did that in another program. I was 11 days short of completing, and I walked out, and the first step I took out there, I'm like, man, these guys aren't part of me anymore, right? And something starts to happen. Self-resentment starts to build, and it starts to bleed into other areas of our lives, all because I stepped foot out that front door, and I should have finished something, and I should have done it, right? Mm-hmm. Have you experienced that before?
Yes.
Am I telling the truth?
I'm sure.
Because we do a real good job of justifying and rationalizing why we should leave out of this process. And then when we take one step foot out of it, we're like, damn, right? And sometimes we're not even high yet. But sometimes we're sitting in a dope man's house with a rig in our arm saying, well, it's about time for a refocus, right? About time for another 60-day, 30-day farm stay. All right. When all it would have taken is staying connected to this process and staying connected to the people that got you where you are in order for something to take place. But we can't tame that self-will. We have no ability to get it under control sometimes.
So
and that's the difference.
What do you call that? Not fully surrendering?
It's on page 62.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I'm selfish. That's the root of that's what the book tells me is the root of my troubles. Is my selfishness and my self-centeredness. I am a selfish, self-centered POS to the core whenever I do what Craig wants to do. Because if I do what Craig wants to do, what do you think I do? I get high. Yeah, because I love it. I loved it for a long time. But I'm starting to create a life that the rewards are so much better than what I experienced whenever I was using. Like my desire to stay clean and sober is so much greater than it was to find my next drink or drug. It has to be at least equal to, right, or greater than.
Right.
But I'm not satisfied with sufficient, right?
Nope.
I want exceptional. I want an exceptional life. Mm-hmm. Whenever I go to try to help somebody, I can't bring them I can't bring them average stuff. Right. You know what I mean? Not for guys like me anyway. Like I need you to. If somebody's coming to help me, I need your A game, right? I need this. I don't need what you've done for everybody else, like half measures of the half measures. I don't need that. The status quo doesn't work for me. So I want you to, those guys that raised your hands, I want to encourage you that, and trust me when I say this because I've experienced it, your ability to sit still and get through this 8 months just because. Get through this 8 months and give yourself the best opportunity to recover. So you don't have to turn around and revisit this 6 months later. If you even get the chance to. Because there's a few names right now that I can rattle off that would love to have another opportunity in these chairs. Right? So on page 32 in the big book, it's talking about the man of 30. Anybody ever read that story? I'm going to read it. The man of 30 was doing a great deal of spree drinking. He was very nervous in the morning after these bouts and quieted himself with more liquor. He was ambitious to succeed in business, but saw that he would get nowhere if he drank at all. Once he started, he had no control whatever. He made up his mind that until he had been successful in business and had retired, he would not touch another drop. An exceptional man, he remained bone dry for 25 years. 25 years. So that'd make him how old? 55. All right. Retired at the age of 55 after a successful and happy business career. Then he fell victim to a belief which practically every alcoholic has, that his long period of sobriety and self-discipline had qualified him to drink as other men. Out came his carpet slippers in a bottle. In 2 months, he was in a hospital, puzzled and humiliated. He tried to regulate his drinking for a while, making several trips to the hospital in the meantime. Then, gathering all his forces, he attempted to stop altogether and found he could not. Every means of solving his problem, which money could buy, was at his disposal. Every attempt failed. Though a robust man at retirement, he went to pieces quickly and was dead within 4 years. Right? This story was inspired by, in 1931, there was a book written called The Common Sense of Drinking by Richard Peabody, and that's where this is most likely it's a derivative of that story. Here's what this guy didn't understand, right? He didn't understand that if the quality of his sobriety, right? If the quality of his sobriety was as great as his quantity of his sobriety, he wouldn't have wanted to drink at all. He wouldn't even wanted to have that drink at 55. The obsession would have been removed after day 60. All right? Instead, he spent 9,071 days lying to himself about his ability to drink alcohol. That's how many days there is minus 60 in 25 years, just in case you know. And that does include the leap year. For all you skeptics out there, because I know somebody's going to be like, Sean, you're going to be like, well, there's 4 leap years or 6 leap years in there, so you got to add those days. So I included those too, just for him.
Wow.
He thought that the quantity of his years qualified him to drink like other men, right? Has any of you guys ever thought in that fashion? I mean, I know that, because it's a daunting task to think, right, about man, I gotta stay sober for the rest of my life. Like that's a tough thought, isn't it? But man, once that's what the book talks about, that psychic change occurs. Once that occurs, man, they tell me the desire's been removed because it's been removed. Like, I don't even worry about not drinking anymore. My life is so good right now that I don't care if I ever have another one. I don't have that thought, man, that's a long way away, right? I don't know if I can do that. I don't think that way anymore because it's been removed. And, you know, they told me it would be, and I bought into that idea that one day my desire to drink or drug was going to be removed. And finally, it's happening, and I want you guys to believe that one day that's going to occur for you too if you just sit through this process, do what you're asked to do, and take the suggestions that are given to you. You know what a suggestion is?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Something like, you can ask me to do something.
It's a subtle command.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds about.
Who said that? So look, we're talking about quality, man. Even though I'm not good at drawing, I like to draw. I got this much water in my cup, right? I talk about quality because I got to realize I can't help everybody. I've got Clint Eastwood's famous line in one of his movies. is a man has to know his limitations. If I'm not doing something, then this is my end result. But more the point is, like, if it was real easy for me to get you to understand that faith without works is dead because you've heard it before. But you've heard this stuff before. Like, there's a whole lot more information in that Bible and in this big book and in these rooms but we've been exposed. We've been exposed more to this answer, right? We've heard this more times. So the first thing that comes to my mind is something that I've been exposed to, right? So if there's no exposure to this information, then it's probably the first thing that comes to mind is not one of these three, right? Because I never heard that before. I never heard it used like that. So what I'm trying to tell you is what? What do you think I'm trying to tell you?
Repetition's reinforcement.
Right. like I'm gonna gain information, and it's gonna be stored in my memory if I seek it. Like it can't be something that I believe in if I've not sought after it. I had a guy in the office at Recovery Point ask me, like, why do you believe what you do? And I told him, like, because I've tried to indulge myself in these books. Like, that's the only reason. It's not osmosis, right? I can't just sleep with it as a pillow and expect that this information is going to soak in. No. I can't transmit something I haven't got to somebody else, and
the more something's ingrained or instilled, the more people are going to pick up on it.
Sure.
They're going to do it. The more they see other people do it as well.
But we look, we see things in this process. We see guys completely transform their lives, right? And to me, seeing that happen, like I can't wrap my head around the fact that this book is the only reason that somebody transformed their life. I can't, and it's definitely not the fact that anybody that orchestrates this program and comes up here and speaks for an hour has the last say in somebody changing their life. Like, it's that we are not that important. We're not that special. I'm not special at all. Neither is anybody else in this program, in this world, in fact. So, what is a legitimate thought that there's a rational mind would think there's got to be something else, right? There's got to be some orchestrator that does these things, and all I got to do is start seeking some information in order to begin to what? Believe it. We are what we pay attention to. You've heard my story about laying on the bed with my son on Thanksgiving Day. Like, there can be two screens playing, right? And it's the one I'm paying attention to that I'm going to get something out of. The madness is going to be looking at you right in the eyes. But if you ain't paying attention to it, it ain't going to matter. Conversely, if I'm paying attention to information that is going to benefit my life, what do you think is going to happen to my life? It's probably going to get better. I can almost guarantee you that it's not going to get worse, right? A lot of you guys have heard me say it, that I'm just a what? I'm just a beggar showing other beggars where to find food, right? And one of these days it's going to be your turn to do what I do. Maybe not in this capacity, maybe in something different, but I can't stress to you enough that the information that's provided, man, when I went through the Healing Place in Richmond, Virginia, there wasn't a time I didn't have a pen in my hand and a notebook in front of me, and anytime somebody said something, I wrote it down. These papers are about, some of them are 6 years old. You know, if your big book doesn't look like this, something's wrong. You know, if it's not duct taped and written in, and I mean, that tells me that there's more that we can be doing if your big book looks brand new. I've got notes from 6 years ago that I still keep to this day because I know that they're beneficial to helping somebody else find their way, find their path to recovering. And I was a Division I college athlete, Division I soccer player from Marshall University, and I never dreamed
that my life would come to this. I never dreamed that one day I'd be sleeping in a tent or sleeping in my car or robbing from my parents and robbing anybody that would give me the ability to do so. I never dreamed that was going to happen, but it did. And the only way that I found myself out of it was through God and the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. It's the only thing that's ever worked for me. Most importantly, the first thing that I mentioned. So what does this mean to you guys? What's surrender mean to you all?
Throw in the white flag.
Huh?
Throw in the white flag.
Yeah.
Give up.
Give everything.
Quit fighting.
Be willing to change.
Quit fighting. We get in the ring, man, with Mike Tyson, and we don't never know when to quit. We don't never when to keep going back. The fight's fixed. It's fixed, man. What is the fight? Like, I didn't understand what that concept meant for a long time. I thought it was I didn't know what fixed fight meant. But I realized today that fight is fixed. What's it? You know what that means? Like it's already predetermined what's going to happen, right?
To me, it means letting go.
Have you ever been able to use successfully? Has anybody in here ever been able to use successfully?
Temporarily.
Yeah, short period of time. But what I suffer from is chronic, progressive, and fatal, right? Most importantly, it's progressive. Like, I can tell myself for a long time that or for a short period of time, like you mentioned, that things are okay, right? I'm not going to sit here and tell you that there were some times when I was out there getting high that it wasn't pretty damn fun, right? So, surrender means a lot of things, and how we arrive at this position is different for different people. For me, how many people in here feels like they've surrendered? Everybody? Well, I would have said that too. I promise I would have. But for me, my level of surrender is on a spectrum, right? It wasn't something that I decided one day whenever I was working step one, and I said, you know what, I give up. You know, things are so bad that I just give up. It wasn't like that for me, because I still, I came from a $120,000 a year job. I came from having my own place, a $45,000 truck. Some things were still around that I was still kind of clinging on to. So I didn't really feel like that I had hit rock bottom, right? And there's a lot of us in here that can probably justify where life's still kind of okay for some of us. So there was a series of events that occurred where I got to a place where I said, man, it wasn't something that I decided. It's something that I looked back on and I said, damn, like I've finally quit fighting this thing. Like, I look back and I'm finally okay with just being okay. Like, and on one end of the spectrum, if we had to classify it as a color, like, it'd probably be a real deep red, right? If it's almost like, or a character, right? Like, man, this is bad. What the hell am I doing here, right? And almost like if you're driving a car, man, your whole dashboard's lit up, right? All the warning lights are on. You picture that, like driving down the road of your life, and like your oil lights on, your tire pressure lights on, everything's on, right? Like, but you, yeah. Some of us even put pictures over top of it, so right? Yeah, like it's not there, right? Yeah, stickers, black tape, whatever. Like, we do a real good job of covering some stuff up so that it doesn't really appear too bad, right? Well, you got 5 here. We're on a scale about 1 to 5 of my level to surrender, right? And if I had to label this side my most level of surrender side, maybe gold, right? Maybe even emoji. A smiley emoji, right? Or a star, right? Like we're in elementary school again, and we're getting the red stars, right? Like shit's good.
Gold.
Yeah, you never got any of those, did you?
No.
So maybe like okay with being okay. What do I mean by that?
Settling.
But it just means
No.
You accept the way you are.
You're okay with just
Balance.
getting by.
Like, yeah, I don't have the desire for a new pair of shoes. Like that's not what dictates my life. I don't have a desire for my wife or girlfriend to have a Gucci purse. Like, those aren't the things that make my life worthwhile. The things that make my life worthwhile are watching other people grow and being altruistic in my behaviors, putting other people's needs, wants, and desires in front of my own. Like that's what life is about. It's not about, like I tell you guys all the time, that if there was a monetary value on serenity and peace of mind, like there is a Air Max shoes or a Gucci purse, man, you couldn't even find it on the shelves because it'd all be gone. I'm telling you.
It would.
Like, if you guys understood what I see on a daily basis and what I understand is in your future, like, nobody would leave here. But I can't take a snapshot of how I feel today. Like, I can't. There's no Polaroid that will effectively capture that moment and that feeling and that sentiment. But I'm telling you, like, if you would just trust me that something is coming, like something is on the other side, right? All you got to do is sit here and do what's asked. And I've told you guys before, like, there's nobody that's completed this farm and completed this program and looked back and told me it was a bunch of bullshit. Nobody. Not one person. So if that's true, you guys remember when, I think I've told this story before, remember when Opanas came out? And I remember sitting there, and my old dope man's over at Recovery Point right now. And I remember I called him one day and he said they're $125 a piece today, right? I'm like, damn, they were just $65 yesterday. I'm like, give me 4 of them. You know how we are. But the day they came out, man, like, what were we doing before that? Us opiate users. OC80s, Roxy 30s, right? Like, I looked at this guy that brought me a yellow Octagon and I thought, man, get out of here with that shit, man. I don't want that.
Is it blue VJ?
I don't want that, dude. I want the inbox or something, you know? And until I saw somebody nodding out on them, right? And I'm like, damn, I want one of those, right? Like, then I'm immediately scheming in my mind, like, how I'm gonna get one of those, who I'm gonna rob, who I'm gonna take for some money to get one, because I want what that guy's got, right? Because my 130, that ain't doing nothing. That 130 don't do that.
No.
Right? We as addicts with the heroin thing, you hear someone's overdose and you want to know where they got that dope from.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, there was a point in time when I thought to myself, like, the moment, it should have raised a red flag whenever you have to have Narcan to bring yourself back. That might have been a good point to stop. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, once you need a pen to keep you from dying, like, then it shouldn't become any fun anymore.
Where's the fun of that?
Yeah.
Now, thinking about recovery as a person, right? Without honesty, there is no foundation for a lasting or enjoyable relationship in any context, okay? So the relationship that I have with my recovery will never be lasting or enjoyable in any context, right? Make sense? Mm-hmm. If I'm thinking about that as a person, somebody that I care about, right? My recovery, I would hope at some point becomes something that you care about. Do you guys feel like I care about mine? Why? Why?
You put forth effort.
There's effort involved, sure. Because I try to demonstrate it on a daily basis, and at some point over the last year it became my idea and I started to own it, right? Like, because for a lot of us it's like this mystic creature, right? That we're never really going to be a part of, that we don't even know if it really exists, and if we'll ever be able to catch it, you know? But I'm telling you, if you do the things that are presented and live by this 575-page book and that Green Recovery Bible, I mean, the success rate's 100% when you follow these rules. 100%, I guarantee you that it will change your life and things will be different. Your quality of life will improve. You won't have to be living on the streets anymore. I promise you, if you do what this says. Now, what happens with guys is we come in this process and we start doing these things. It's when we have to here, and life gets pretty good, and we do this. We put this thing back on the shelf, right? it becomes a paperweight. And we wonder, like, what the hell went wrong? You stop doing this stuff, right? You stop doing the things that got you to the place that you wanted to be. You got content. You heard what I said before. You should never get stagnant in your recovery, ever. There is plenty of stuff for us to do. Hey, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Look, if you're struggling, reach out. If you're interested in the Lifehouse, reach out to me, reach out to Rocky Meadows, Sean Pressgraves, Kevin Lloyd, and we will get you here. Stop fighting this thing and make the call, 304-429-LIFE. And as always, trust God, clean house, and help somebody.